Hello again, this is Jack Sheffield. Jack, the exam guy, I call myself. This particular course is for pool contractors. All right. Now, this particular course, there's three different exams. So this course is designed to familiarize the student with those exams. But you'll need to be aware of the reference manuals that apply to your particular license. There's service, there's residential, and there's commercial. So some of this will apply to you. Probably most of it will apply to you. There might be a couple of manuals that don't. We'll work through those as we go through. The first section is going to pretty much pertain to all three categories, with the remaining sections applicable to just residential or commercial. The first section is going to be service, but those manuals also apply to the residential and the commercial for the most part. The majority of the course will consist of practice exams from each manual designed to guide the student through each manual. There will also be a couple of videos explaining some of the math that the student will need to master. This will be followed by final practice exams designed to duplicate what the student will experience on the exam. So let's take a look at our manuals. You've got your pool and spa operator handbook. You have your ANSI 1 public swimming pools, your ANSI 2, which is your public spas. You have your ANSI 3, which is your permanently installed residential spas and swim spas. And you have your ANSI 5, which is your residential in-ground swimming pools. So you got your four ANSI there that you, of course, are familiar with. Should be in front of you about this point. Now you have something called the 64E9. That's something that I hope it's probably just a printed document, came off the Florida website. I'm going to talk to you about each one of these individual in just a minute. Got some very important news about the 64E9. You've got your OSHA manual. Doesn't really matter which version you have. You got your Florida Building Code building, and you have your National Electric Code. Now I know you may have some other books, but these are ones that are pretty much going to apply to all three exams. So we're going to look at them first. And the only exception is the ANSI 1 and the ANSI 2 being public pools and spas don't apply to the residential. Okay, so the pool and spa operator handbook. Now, it's not about the structure of the pool so much, but it's about the water quality. All right, so that's what chemicals are in the you're going to need to have in the water and how to check it and so forth. So you have the chapters will pretty much tell you, explain to you what's in this book, and illustrate that particular point. Pool and spa management, regulations and guidelines, essential calculations. Let me get my pointer out here real quick. Essential calculations, water pool contamination, disinfection, water balance. See, we're talking about the water. Okay, chemicals. And then it talks about the circulation some. Okay, just the circulating components. And then of course there won't be any book about pools won't be complete without a chapter 14 here, safety. And then of course there's going to be some record keeping and troubleshooting, what have you. So the pool and spa operator's handbook is about the water. Okay, the water and the circulation and some safety stuff. But the safety stuff's going to be in every book. Okay, so we're going to look at the 4 ANSI now. All right, these are going to be important for you. You've got the 1, which is public swimming pools. Okay, it's pretty obvious. Now these books are more about the structure, not so much the water. The structure and the safety. Okay, so you have the 1, which is the public swimming pools, the ANSI 2, which is public spas, which I would never suggest you get in one, but ANSI 3, which is permanently installed residential spas and swim spas. And then you have ANSI 5 over here, and that is the residential in-ground swimming pools. Now these books are about the structure, the circulatory systems, and safety, but not so much on the water quality. Now this 64E9, this is really important because if you went to My Florida myflorida.com right now. You could print out the 64E9, but I want to caution you because right now, as of this recording, February of 2024, it is incomplete, and I don't want you to print that out and use it. Okay. To know if your 64E9 is complete, be sure to look at section 002 and 007. Okay. It in 002 is definitions, 007 is recirculation and treatment. All right. If this is all it says right here, this is all it says right now at myflorida.com. And that you need a lot more than that under definitions. You need a lot more than this under recirculation. You know, it doesn't give you hardly any information right there. The version of the 64E9 in this course that you're going to need has 42 definitions. There's no definitions right here in the current version online. And 17 items in the recirculation. And there's actually an 05 and an 06 that are incomplete as well. But if you look and see, you've got 42 definitions and the 002 section, and you have 17 items in the 007, you probably have the correct version. And it's very important because a lot of questions come out of this. All right. Be sure you're using the complete 64E9 by making sure there's 42 items in definitions and 17 items in the recirculation. Okay. Florida Building Code building. Okay. You're only going to need to know chapter 4. So if somebody's got you going through the whole code book, it doesn't matter. There's just chapter 4. There's a section 454, which is about swimming pools and bathing places. It says, don't bother with the index. The index will not help you in this book. Minimums and maximums and the word shall. So you're going to look for minimums and maximums, and shall means it's got to be a certain way. It's a law. And all these things really do agree with the ANSI as well. But you need to be aware of this section in this book. Questions will read like rules because they are rules. They're laws. Okay, you've got your OSHA manual. Now, there's many different versions of the OSHA manual. If you don't have this one, that's fine. Look for, usually when I talk about the OSHA manual, I talk about paragraph numbers, not page numbers, because page numbers are going to change from manual to manual. Paragraph numbers are going to start the same, are going to read the same. There's no need to have the latest version. It's obviously about safety. The questions are, and it's about job site safety when you're building a pool, or maybe having the first aid kit on site when you're, doing some, some testing of a pool for servicing, maybe some stuff about electrical safety, while you're working there. It's got a great index, so use that index. And, you're going to get a question about ladders, scaffolding, excavations, motor vehicles, and so on and so forth. If the index doesn't get you there, note that the table of contents is organized by topic, so the table of contents might get you there. For instance, subpart P is excavation, subpart X is about ladders, and so forth. So just keep that in mind. And then we're going to talk about the National Electric Code. You only need to know Article 680. If somebody's got you looking through the whole code book, they're wasting your time. Now, you can bring in the entire National Electric Code or just Article 680, but make sure it is bound. Anything that that goes into that testing center, they're going to want it to be bound in some type of a fold, not in a folder, but in a 3-ring binder. And it's obviously about the electrical regulations regarding the pool. So it's pretty obvious that you're going to get to that particular, that you're going to go to the NFPA 70 or what they call the National Electric Code. So most of the previous manuals are needed for all of the pool contractor exams. There is 2 exceptions for that though. In the residential exam, you don't need the public swimming pools or the public spas manuals, the ANSI 1 and 2. But for everything else, so the commercial contractor needs to know how to build a residential pool, but a residential doesn't know how to build a commercial pool because it won't be licensed to do that. All right. Now, the following manuals, the ones you see on your screen, are needed for the residential and commercial pool contractor, but not the service. And as you can kind of get a look at them, they're about the structure itself. And so that would make sense that the service does not need those. So if you're just taking the service exam, you can ignore the rest of this presentation. So you've got 4 manuals here. I'm just going to briefly describe them, and then the practice exams that you will have are going to explain the more, or at least illuminate more, the more important information that I want you to know the details. So, but in an overall sense, the Walkers is an estimating book. Okay, it's an estimating book. So when you get a question like how many cubic yards is it going to take, how many CMUs is it going to be, how much labor is it going to cost, you know, all these types of things, and that's you're going to think of Walkers when you get an estimating question. Okay, it's got a good index in it as well. And then you've got the Concrete Masonry Handbook, which is pretty obvious what it's about, right? It's about going to be about concrete block, brick patterns, mortar, that type of stuff. Okay, and it's got a good index in it as well. All right. And then you've got the placing reinforcing bars. No mystery there. It's about rebar. You're gonna have to know rebar sizes, the kind of chairs, corrosion resistance, the spacing of bars and stirrups and things like that. So, it's pretty obvious that you're going to be going to the rebar book, and it has a good index as well. And then you've got the guide to shotcrete. Okay, and we all know what shotcrete is now uh, by this point, and it's pretty obvious. They're going to mention shotcrete in the question, and then you'll just go to the guide for shotcrete. But you'll be getting practice exams for each one of those, which is going to target the exact information that I want you to know for this exam. Well, thank you very much for listening to this presentation. This has been Jack Sheffield, Jack the Exam Guy. Don't ever let anybody tell you you don't know Jack, because now you do, and I appreciate your business.